Hello, everyone. Welcome. Before we get started, I wanted to remind everyone that the bathrooms are at the front desk. If you just follow the Chicago Gallery sign, you'll get to them there. We're asking you to hold on to questions till after the presentation. That includes our folks tuning in. You can add your questions to the chat room, and we have a moderator watching those for you. Also, this will be recorded, so if you feel like you need to step away for a moment, we'll have this available. We just need a way to contact you, and you can leave that information with us at the front desk. So welcome again. It's great to have you all here today, this afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. We're thrilled to share our museum's content as well as our educational resources with you all. My name is Noelle Velasco, and I'm one of the education program coordinators here at the museum. And I'll be leading us through today's event, as well as introducing you to the folks and the team that manages and creates all the educational offerings you'll be learning more about today. Before we get to that, a few words from the museum's president, Carrie Cranston.
Hi, I'm Carrie Cranston, president of the American Writers Museum. We're grateful for your interest in our educational programs. Education is a cornerstone of what we do here at the American Writers Museum. Our mission is one that is focused around the idea of exploring the importance and significance of writers on our history, on our culture, on our identity, and on our daily lives. And with our educational materials, we really try to engage students in seeing the fun and excitement of writing, the impact that writing can have, and we hope that we can, through this work, inspire some of the writers of tomorrow. We're glad you're interested in our writing programs. We want you to engage with us. Please feel free to contact us, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks, and have a great day.
As Carrie mentioned in the message, education and learning is integral to the work here at the American Writers Museum. And as the first and only national museum dedicated to American writers and their works, we celebrate American writers and explore their influence on our history, our identity, our culture, and our daily lives. From an educational scope, we strive to inspire the young writers of tomorrow. And this is created throughout our public and educational programs. Behind these programs is a team of museum staff members and partners working together to create these learning opportunities. Leading this team is Program Director Allison Sansoni. From author programs to our first Writers Festival, Allison creates these opportunities for the greater public to engage with American writing today. Assisting these programs, as well as overseeing the museum's educational programs, Sonal Shukla establishes and maintains partnerships with local and national school districts, as well as educational and cultural organizations. And to round out this team are our education program coordinators, including myself and Courtney Borjas, who oversees and coordinates our in-person field trip program.
Hello, everyone. I am Courtney Borjas, and I am thrilled to be speaking with you all today. As Noelle mentioned, one of my roles as one of our education program coordinators is to coordinate and oversee our in-person field trips. So we offer educational in-person field trips for students grades 3 through 12, where young scholars can learn about the cultural and historical significance of writing in America. Our interactive exhibits teach students about new writing styles and perspectives while empowering them to think of themselves as writers. Our field trip materials also are intended to further enhance student exploration of the exhibits, help them practice their writing skills, and further develop their writing voice. So if you are unable to physically visit us here at the museum during the academic year, the American Writers Museum's virtual offerings still provide students the opportunity to connect with the museum without leaving the classroom. One such way is our initiative Exploring the Writing Process with Primary Source Materials, which was funded by a grant from the Library of Congress. The focal point of this initiative is our teacher-created lesson plans that utilize primary sources from notable American authors, all accessible online at the Library of Congress's website. Students will study these primary sources to learn more about an author's writing process and how they can implement similar strategies, techniques, and skills into their own writing. These lesson plans come with both teacher notes and student handouts that can be used for either in-person or virtual learning. So we'll see an example of what some of those lessons look like on the next slide here. So on the left, you can see we have a handwritten draft from Frederick Douglass from his autobiography, The Life and Times of Frederick Douglass. So this page, again, handwritten by Frederick Douglass, contains edits, revisions, and corrections. This draft, again, is available online, free, and accessible on the Library of Congress's website. On the right, you can see one of the activities that our lesson plans come with, where our students learn more about an author's purpose. We currently have 6 lesson plans free to download on our website, and we have 6 more upcoming in the next month. You can find these lesson plans on our online resources page on our website.
I'm Noelle Velasco again, and as one of the other education program coordinators here, I manage our virtual field trip program as well as our Write-In extended curriculum program. Our virtual field trip program includes the Ask a Writer virtual field trip, which offers schools the opportunity to interact live with a writer. Using platforms such as Zoom or Google Meet, schools can invite a few selected authors into their classrooms to discuss the craft of writing and their process. As you can see here, we have Adriana Cuevas. Our Mind of a Writer live virtual field trip engages third through 12th grade classrooms in a game-based interactive. Students are led through interactive gameplay on written works of the past and present. Students will explore how written works have been adapted to on-screen TV shows and films, while also testing their deciphering skills by translating emojis into literary titles. This interaction ends with a creative writing exercise. Along with our virtual synchronous offerings, we also offer asynchronous opportunities to engage with our museum's content through virtual exhibits. And those are American Voices, which explores the evolution and flourishing of American writing and literature. Frederick Douglass Agitator explores the later life of writer and orator Frederick Douglass. My America, Immigrant and Refugee Writers Today honors and celebrates the influence of modern immigrant and refugee writing in America and on our culture, history, and daily lives. And finally, Polly Murray, Survival with Dignity, explores the life and work of Polly Murray, author of the poem Dark Testament, which inspired our current temporary exhibit, Dark Testament, A Century of Black Writers and Justice.
Hello and welcome. My name is Sonal Shukla. I am the Assistant Director of Programming and Education at the American Writers Museum. Since our opening in 2017, we have provided educational opportunities to thousands of students throughout the Chicagoland area as well as nationwide. We're able to connect with these schools and students by cultivating strong relationships with local and national partners and collaborations. We partner with CIS of Chicago to reach more CPS schools by offering complementary education programs, as pointed out by Noelle and Courtney. One of the most impactful partnerships we have is with Critical Learning Collaborative, which will and Madeline from Critical Learning Collaborative is here, and we would like to invite her now to the conversation.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about the 2 different curricula that my partner Myra and I have written for the American Writers Museum. And so what you see here is like a really brief high-level agenda. We have a middle school curriculum and a high school curriculum. But before we get into any of that, I want to just let you all know what our intentions are for this evening. And I want to emphasize that this is a short period of time, so I'm not going to go in depth. I mean, they're like comprehensive curricula. So it'll be very high level, but we will have an online orientation for the Dark Testament on September 20th. And you can also email me just specific questions you have if there's something that we don't cover tonight. So for tonight, I do want you to know just the components of both the My America and the Dark Testament, talk a little bit about how to implement it, and we are gonna try a sample lesson, right? And we have agreements here, and that's an important component of the Dark Testament curriculum. So these are the agreements that we have this evening, but in the curriculum, we invite teachers and students to co-create agreements, especially because the content of the curriculum, it's rich, it's engaging for students, but it's also challenging and super complex. And so those agreements will be kind of established. My partner and I have included some guidelines around writing agreements with students, because there's going to be lots of challenging but really powerful conversations. So let's do a little warm up. You all have some paper, you have a little pencil, right? Your clipboard, you ready to write? Okay, and we have folks joining us online. We're just going to try out one of the lessons. I really believe in choice, and you'll see that in the curriculum. There's lots of opportunities for student choice. So I'm modeling that by giving you all choice. So we have 3 options. So the first 2 come from the My America, which is the middle school curriculum. And the last 2 come from the Dark Testament, which is the high school curriculum. So you can choose which one you would like to try out this evening. The first is journey stories. So for that, you're going to describe a journey you have taken or one you hope to take in the future. So for example, I rode the Blue Line here today, and I usually drive, and I haven't been on the train for a long time, and it was a little stressful. I might write that story, okay? Or you can think about family journeys, right? So you can go way back in the past. The second one is home. So I'm going to ask you to think of a place where you feel at home. And I imagine my American Writers Museum friends might say this is a place where they feel at home, right? So I want you to think of that place, and you can describe this home in your writing, or if you have a buddy next to you, you can talk about that place. The third option is, what's your freedom dream? This is a really fun lesson in the Dark Testament curriculum. So you can write, you can sketch, or you can just talk about what is your freedom dream. And the last one, which I did this morning with a group of CPS teachers, one of my favorites, who are my people? So think about who you carry within you, all the people who are important to you. Okay, so I'm gonna pause, I'm gonna let you make your decision, and I'm gonna give you a few minutes to do some writing. And I love it, some people are already gone, they are writing. Let's take a few minutes to write. I'll give you one more minute. One more minute. All right, I'm gonna ask you to find a good place to pause for now. So if you're in the middle of a sentence, you don't have to stop. Finish up that sentence, then find a good place to pause for now. All right? How'd that feel? Decent? Nice? Okay. How many of you chose number 1, option 1? Okay. Option 2? Cool. 3 and 4. We had a nice little mix here. And I know we have folks with us online who are writing. I hope you enjoyed that. And just think about what that few minutes, just a few minutes, like what that does for you, right? And you are all here because you believe in the power of writing. That's why you're here, right? And that's why our friends are online, because you believe in the power of what writing can do for you and what writing can do for your students. And I will tell you that writing this curriculum is our life's work. My partner, Myra, she's joining online. Her and I have poured our hearts and souls into this curriculum, and we are nervous, but super excited to share it with all of you because it's so meaningful and so important. And we want these stories, not only the writers that the students read, but also for the students' stories to be told, right? So I'm glad that you experienced a little bit of that. This is the kind of work that students will experience every day with this curriculum. So why use the Write and Extended curriculum? Why do it? If you were in a school where you're maybe feeling like you have to convince the administration, maybe you have your curriculum already laid out for the whole year, or maybe you want to get a few of your colleagues involved, this is the part for you, right? Here's some reasons you can take back to your building. So the Write and Extended curriculum, it integrates the dynamic and culturally responsive resources from the American Writers Museum, specifically the My America and the Dark Testament exhibits. So the rich resources you see here, and there's so many resources online, we pulled those together into a curriculum that's like a scope and sequence of lesson plans that you can follow. The vision is for students to be immersed in rich and engaging content that stimulates reflection, creativity. You'll see collaboration is a really important part, empathy, and of course, authentic writing. So the purpose, the way that we design curriculum, and I should have maybe said this a little bit ago, but I'll just give you a little bit of my background so you know I was and always will be a teacher. I spent 14 years as a Chicago Public Schools teacher. I've taught middle and high school, ELA and social science. My partner Myra spent 15 years as a high school teacher, teaching social science and ethnic studies. So we have classroom experience. We were also instructional coaches, curriculum writers. I'm a literacy specialist. So I bring all of that experience to know what teachers need for good curriculum and what like is kind of time consuming, right? And like not really doing it for me. So we had you all in mind when we designed this. So really it's to support educators, right? We want to make it useful, accessible, easy to use with your students, to center students' identities. That's a big part of both curricula, the middle school and the high school, and creative expression. To nurture and cultivate students' voices, develop critical writing skills. And we're thinking about writing that can be transferred across a variety of contexts, so not just in their English class, right? You'll see in the Dark Testament curriculum, there's informational writing as well. There's a wide variety of the kind of writing they'll do. I told you collaboration, that's a huge piece, and social emotional learning, which our students need now more than ever before. That's a really important part. And then to use the beauty and power of Black, immigrant, and refugee writers to inspire students' own stories, right? So they're gonna be immersed in all of this beautiful writing, and it's mixed media. So there's books, but there's also videos. It's very dynamic. The goals, if you're talking to your principal, and what are the goals of this curriculum, okay? Increase student engagement. In my experience as a middle school writing teacher, and even in high school, students are very reluctant to write, right? Building that writing stamina, time on writing is tough. So really, we're trying to make this engaging. We want to engage all of our students. We do want to improve their writing abilities, their skills, their stamina, right? Can students write for 10 minutes at a time? I gave you all about 5 minutes, right? So we're trying to build their writing stamina throughout the curriculum to develop and practice SEL competencies. So they're going to develop that self-awareness, relationships, right? Like how to monitor their themselves and also to be good peers to their classmates. And most of all, to empower student voice, choice, and agency. So there's a lot of choice in this curriculum. There's a lot of opportunities for students to add their voice. All right, so what does it look like? Let's dig in, okay? Again, this is a high-level overview of what each of them look like. So for the middle school, there are 3 stages. It starts with building a writing identity. And when you were touring the museum, you probably saw the pieces related to that. So we're just thinking about, who am I as a person? Who am I as a writer? How does my identity influence how I write and what I write about? Part 2 is using the power of the pen. So that really gets at the question, why writing? What can writing do? How is there power behind that? And then part 3, which is the same in both middle school and high school, is engaging in the writing process. So both the middle school and the high school curriculum take students through the process. On the high school side, it's a little more in-depth and comprehensive. We build a foundation for learning first. And like we said, it's because the content is complex. It could be difficult for students and teachers. And so we take 5 lessons just to set that foundation for learning. And then each of the sections of the high school curriculum align to the themes of the Dark Testament exhibit. So belonging, violence, justice, and joy. Those are the 4 themes of the Dark Testament exhibit. So the lessons connect to that. And then finally, crafting our stories. Again, they take their writing through the process. The main difference between the two, if you're thinking, you have 8th grade or 9th grade, you could kind of go either way, right? Is that the Dark Testament is much more collaborative, and the summative assessment, they do a collaborative piece. And that's their choice. They can still choose to do it independently, but there's intention around like working with their peers. Whereas in the middle school, it's an independent project. So here's just the structure of the curriculum. We have the middle school, and this is basically like the flow of each lesson. And then the high school, you see some similarities, but there are a couple of differences, okay? And here's a couple of examples. So in the middle school, this is what a typical lesson plan would look like. So you see it's hyperlinked because every lesson for the middle school is connected to a resource in the museum. So an online resource for the museum. So there's videos. I took so much material from the My America exhibit and hyperlinked it. So students are experiencing the content of the museum and their writing, okay? So they'll have like the topic, object stories, they'll have kind of an objective, there's a learning experience, and then they do some like discussion, and then they write. Pretty simple flow. For the high school, they start with agreements, and they always start with agreements. They do a check-in, so this is where that intentional SEL integration is. Some of the check-ins are tied to the content, so almost like a warm-up, and some of the check-ins are just, how are we feeling today? What are you taking with you? What do you want to leave? How are you feeling about the topic we're about to talk about? So there's always a check-in, there's a warm-up, and then the kind of heart of it is some reading, inquiry, and discussion. And there's a create section for every single lesson, and it's way more arts integrated. So they're not just doing writing, but they're creating some kind of media. And I put an example lesson there. It was like picking your favorite kid, you guys. I couldn't decide which lesson to like show off because they're all really good. But the ones you see on your screen are the ones that like I personally really love. So that's what you see here. Here's some resources, and they'll have access to this deck, right? So they're all hyperlinked, so you can just poke around at the different resources. We used the Dark Testament. It comes with a research guide. The Pauli Murray, The Survival with Dignity, so good, so good. The Frederick Douglass Agitator, this is all online. The American Voices, and then the My America virtual exhibit. Also, if you get the curriculum, it comes with all of these wonderful things: a unit plan, detailed lesson plans, assessments. For My America, there's also optional extension activities if you have more time, or if there's something that your kids would really love, differentiation strategies, and then dynamic instructional strategies. So that's the stuff like not just what to teach, but how you might facilitate it. Right? Your turn and talk, your gallery walk, right? Like your popcorn share, all those different, I was a teacher, it's all those fun things. They're all in there for you. So you can do your own, or you don't even have to think. They're like all there for you to choose from. Okay, here's a sample lesson plan. Again, I had to pick from one of my children. This one's really good. It's othering. And so the objective is to use the writing process to process and communicate complex experiences and emotions. You can see like the social emotional learning inherently in this lesson. And you also see I linked tools such as Jamboard, right? If anyone uses Jamboard, Google Docs. So there's some tech integrated as well. And then the videos. Here's a lesson on why writing. So this comes in the power of the pen section of the middle school curriculum. I'll just give you a moment to look at that. What I really wanted to do was teach one of these lessons, but we don't have time for that. But it's okay, maybe next time. But come to the online orientation. I'm just showing you to give you like a teaser, okay? And here's the high school. So this stuff was the middle school. Now we're going on to the high school. So this one is called In Their Words, okay? And I believe it's linked as well. All right, so you're sold. You all want to do it, right? Everyone's signing up. Everyone's going to do the curriculum. Okay, so now you got to get ready. How do I implement this? One of the number one questions we get is, how do I make time for this? You have to make time for it. You have a year-long scope and sequence already. How do I do this? So my advice here is, this curriculum is super flexible and you can adapt it. And warning, I am an over planner, like most teachers, right? How many of us actually get through a lesson plan, right? Be honest, like the agenda, you never get through that whole thing, right? So I'm telling you that because we do not want you to feel like you have to do all of this in one class period. You don't. You really don't. You have the power to like pick and choose how you want to do it. But for Dark Testament, we did provide some guidance if you have to make decisions and you're like, I don't know what to cut though. I didn't write the curriculum. Don't worry, we got you covered. So we have an abridged version. So I'm telling you, like, if you can't do this whole thing, you can do these lessons. These are the most important, a few from each section, okay? So you can totally abridge the curriculum. We want to think about finding a home. Where does it fit within your existing curriculum? Picking lessons that work best for your students. You know your students. So there are lessons that probably are not great for them or won't work for them or won't be as engaging. You have the power to decide that. And then really understanding how your identity and your student's identity is going to impact this curriculum. Okay, so it really is going to look different depending on where you're teaching and who your kids are. So finding a home, here are my recommendations. I think both curriculum work really well at the beginning of the year because there's so much identity work, because it's really focused on community building. Doesn't mean you have to do it right now or next week, but it's a good place toward the beginning of the year because you're building those foundational pieces anyway with your students. So that's a good place for it. If you're thinking about themes, we have the themes immigration, we have Black history, we have justice. If you're thinking in terms of genre, narrative writing. So if you're looking for a narrative writing unit, this might be a good one to choose. Reading informational texts, Dark Testament has lots of informational texts. If you're thinking about balance between fiction and nonfiction, I promise you it has it. And student to student discourse. If your kids don't talk to each other, I'm hearing that a lot, right? Like we all came back from online learning, kids are not talking, they're not engaging. I highly recommend using this curriculum because there's a lot of opportunities to talk built into the curriculum, okay? If you only have 40 minutes, the lessons are long, there's a lot there, okay? One of my high school teacher friends, I let her preview it to give me feedback, and she was like, it's beautiful, it's awesome. I can't teach this in 45 minutes. Yes, facts, I got you, okay? I know there's a lot. So here's what I recommend. If you only have 40 minutes, break it down this way. 10 minutes to engage with the source material. So that might be the video, that might be an excerpt, there's some music in there, they might read a poem, whatever that source material is for that lesson. 10 minutes for discussion. We want students talking to each other. I read something, I watched something, let's talk about it. 10 to 15 minutes to write. If you can, protect that time. That's the sacred time. And then maybe 5 minutes to share. So when you're looking at the curriculum and you're thinking about your own class period, that might be helpful for you to break it down. And there's lots of other optional things, so you might just skip that, right? Or conversely, you might take a lesson and just do it over 2 periods, okay? So you can make it work for you. In the abridged middle school curriculum, I've just laid out here the numbers. When you get the curriculum, you'll see lesson 1, lesson 2, but this just gives you kind of an outline of what an abridged might look like for the middle school and the high school, okay? And that's it. I know, I got through that really quickly. Thank you all. I hope you all sign up for the curriculum. It's awesome. And my name is Madeline. My partner's name is Myra. People who are on Zoom, Myra's on Zoom with you. We have business cards. We're Critical Learning Collaborative. Please email us if you have any questions, you want to know more. I encourage you to reach out to us. Thank you.
So our contact information is there, but we do have Madeline's contact information up front. But we did want to open up this time for any questions, and that could be towards the curriculum or any other educational offerings you saw today. So feel free to raise your hand and we'll get to your questions. We do have no questions from the chat. Okay, thank you. Not yet. Yeah. If it comes to that, like if folks like are like, yeah. Oh, so the question is, how do you gain access to the curriculum? Great question. We do ask, so that I am your liaison towards all this information, in particular to the curriculum. We do ask you if you please leave your contact information. We do have a sign-up sheet at the front desk for that, and I will be sending you that information on how to, you get it in PDF form essentially. And then we do have an upcoming orientation on the Dark Testament curriculum itself, and that is September 20th. And that I want to say we schedule that around it's a virtual orientation at 5 or 6 p.m. But if you sign up for if you give us your information and sign up for that newsletter, then you'll be updated with all the happenings in the education realm from the American Writers Museum and getting connected with that curriculum. Great question. That's a really great question. Absolutely. Can I invite? Yes. Yeah. So like
So to answer your question, yes, that's also the nice thing about if you sign up for either curriculum, the middle school or high school, you do get a complimentary field trip, whether that be virtual or in person. For in person, we certainly can tailor the focus on whichever you're coming for. Noelle will be your main liaison for the extended curriculum, but we all work and talk with each other. We also do have themed in-person field trips as well, and those are coming up, should be on our website within the next couple of weeks. And those two look at specific themes throughout. A great one that works well with the Dark Testament curriculum in particular is our February themed field trip, which is all on Black History Month, which takes the students all through Black writers featured throughout the museum, for example.
And I will add the virtual field trip with the connected to the curriculum. They are connected to writers that we have on staff, or connected to us. So that is our Ask a Writer virtual field trip that are connected to the curriculum. So you'll be talking to a writer that can speak to these identities or the themes that are discussed throughout the curriculum. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Great question. So yes, our in-person field trips are the length of 90 minutes. So how that roughly works out is when students come here, they get a brief overview of the museum. We show them the layout of the exhibits and show them how to interact with the exhibits because this exhibit is interactive and we want to show the students how they can go into the museum and basically have a hands-on experience, but they already have some knowledge of how they can actually interact with the exhibits. So that introduction takes about 10 to 15 minutes. About the next 60 to 70 minutes is when students get to explore the museum. We do also give out complimentary materials to help students guide their exploration throughout the museum. So it is self-guided in the sense that the students get to start off at the museum and there's not a particular you must look at this here, you must look at this here, but we do offer the materials as a way to, again, help kind of guide their experience throughout. And then the last 10 minutes, we reserve for gathering up the students, doing last minute head counts, discussions to basically wrap up the field trip. So it's about 90 minutes in length for the in-person. Yes.
And for the virtual field trips, they're an hour-long interactive, or for the Ask a Writer, it takes about 30-40 minutes with that writer. And then for the Mind of a Writer, that's an hour-long interactive online. Any other questions? Okay. If we don't have any other questions, we'll stick around. Feel free to peruse more of the museum. There is a ton of food. Feel free to grab more on your way out. We do ask if you are Illinois teachers and you need that professional development hour, since you are here, please stop by the front desk to leave your contact information. Sonal will be sending you that with the form. And then also, we invite you to next month's Get Lit Grown-Up Book Fair here at the museum. That is happening at September 12th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And by signing up for our newsletter, you receive a discount code for those tickets for that next event. So feel free, look at, tour the museum, and we'll be around for questions if you have any more that pop up. Thank you so much.